Here I have a lot of the tools and first aid kit and repair kit and things that I brought on my trip. So starting up over here, we have a very simple aluminum and canvas seat that is very light. I don't know the make. It was given to me by a friend, and that worked very nicely for when there was not a picnic table. Here I have a telescoping fishing rod, eagle claw, and a lure wrapped in here. I picked it up in Jackman, caught a big bass with it. In here I have cedar bark and birch bark in double bags. In here I have matches, lighter, striking rod, ferro rod. In here I have a work sharp little sharpening device. It's got 2 diamond stones, ceramic rods, and then a leather strap on the back. And as somebody who hates working with dull tools, I'm very happy that I brought that. Instead of just sharpening my tools at the beginning of the trip, I was able to keep them sharp throughout. Up here we have a hatchet head on a bit of a longer handle, which allowed me to use it with 2 hands when I really wanted a full-size axe. It's an old Boy Scout plum axe from before I was born, when they used to know how to make axes. Very happy I brought it. I think most people don't bring axes on this trip. I'm really glad I did. Really helped with building fires, but most importantly with chopping branches on trees that had fallen across the Portage Trail. First aid kit. Yeah, you know, mostly medical tape and silver solution instead of triple antibiotic ointment, and some, you know, things to absorption pads and gauze and things like that. A spare tube for my portage cart, which did not suffer any issues, so I didn't need the tube. This is my Speedy Stitcher sewing awl, which I will do a separate review of, but really nice little tool. This is my repair kit. So I used a wood canvas boat, which meant that I had to carry certain bolts and certain cements and things like that. So that all lived in here. This is the bag that held all of those things: first aid kit and repair kit and Speedy Stitcher. This was my trowel for when nature called. I really like this. You dig it. Stainless, very thick, heavy, but definitely worth it. This isn't going to break ever. And if you are really desperate for a spatula, you can wash it off because it's just dirt, and then use that. In here I have a bottle of soap. Up here I have a Mora knife with I combined 2 sheaths. One of the sheaths, cold steel, was the knife it was from. It has this Velcro strap, which I really like, so I have that. This is my multi-tool, the classic Leatherman. They don't make them like this anymore, but this came in very handy. Then up here I have my stove and my pot. So like I said, I boiled my water, and so I made this little twig stove out of a coffee can. In the bottom is some hardware cloth, and then these are 2 steel screws that I picked up along my journey. And this pail, which is a milk pail, is really heavy-duty stainless steel, and it nests perfectly in there with just enough space for flame and smoke to come out. And then this little lid is a pie tin, and this all fits perfectly together. Boil your water on that. In here I have a chain that I can put on the baler of the pot to lift it off if it's too hot, or if I want to put this on a grate on a fire instead. These nails in here also allow me to put my Sierra cup on it, and with some imagination this could be used as a frying pan on top of the stove. And the best part is that if you take the pail off and take the nails out, all this fits perfectly together. Couldn't ask for a better setup than that. And then finally up here we have some sunscreen that I brought. This is technically expired. Like I said, I don't use it very much. So this is my final set of gear that I've laid out here. So up here I have a book for fun to read if it was bad weather or something. Terry Pratchett, Feet of Clay, highly recommend him as an author. In here we have my passport for going into Canada, cash and credit card. Here we have my notebook. I journaled every day, and it's a Lectorm 1917, I think is how you say it. And this is a Pilot Metropolitan with Noodler's 54th Massachusetts bulletproof ink, for those of you who care about that sort of thing. I brought a spare vial to refill it when I needed. Over here we have the maps. I never had all of them, probably about half at any given time. My resupply would give me the ones that I needed. Down here we have my map case. This is map 13, and you'll notice the grid. So this grid is oriented to true north that way. And it's 2 miles by 2 miles, which for estimating distances was so nice. It took a little while to put it on, probably about a half an hour per map before I started, but it was a good way to get to know the route, and I had fun with it. So I'm a map and compass guy. So this is a Silva Ranger, and fanciest compass I've ever owned, and it worked very well. The Through Paddler's Companion, indispensable for any through paddler, and I would not have probably made it through this trip without that, or it would have been much more difficult. Highly recommend it. So this is the 3rd edition. The author here, Katina Danon, she regularly updates this. So if you're considering this, definitely pick up a copy of that. And finally, this is the camera that I brought along with the case. So this is a USSR camera. Smena 8M is the model, from the 90s. It's film, mostly plastic and aluminum with the glass lenses. Most importantly, it's all mechanical and lightweight. Exactly what I was looking for. I haven't gotten the pictures back from it, but let's hope that they turned out well. So that concludes my gear review. As you can probably tell, I went a little more traditional than a lot of people, other people who do this trip, and my boat and pack are heavier than most people would shoot for. Almost 80 pounds was my pack weight when it was filled, which is a lot for some people. And but at the same time, my food weight was only around 13 pounds. And I should mention, so when I started this trip, I weighed myself and I was right around 163 pounds. And then when I finished this trip, I was 168.8 pounds. And all my friends and family have said that it doesn't look like I've lost any weight or look thinner in any way. So, so I can only conclude that eating this way on a trip like this is really good for you and keeps you from burning off your valuable body fat and helps you build that muscle instead. So, with that, that concludes my gear review, and I have a couple other reviews, and then hopefully later I will post a trip report. Alright, thanks for watching.